I found out my husband was having an emotional affair. I tried to save our marriage, then learned he'd been physically cheating too. I'm Jessica, 28F, and I recently found out that my husband David, 30M, has been secretly talking to his ex-girlfriend Teresa, 29F, for the past year. David and I have been married for 4 years, and we dated for 2 years before that. We met at our friend Mike's birthday party. I was there with my college roommate, and David came with his coworker. We started talking about our shared love for hiking and ended up exchanging numbers. Our relationship moved pretty quickly after that. We went on our first date to a local Italian restaurant, and within a few months, we were spending most of our free time together. David proposed after a year of dating during a weekend trip to the mountains. It was simple and sweet, just like our relationship. David works as a software engineer at a big tech company. He's always been career-driven and often works late hours. I'm a high school English teacher. I love my job, but it can be stressful dealing with teenagers all day. We've always supported each other's careers and tried to make time for our relationship despite our busy schedules. We bought our first house together 2 years ago. It's a small 3-bedroom in the suburbs, but we've put a lot of work into making it our home. We even set up one of the spare rooms as a potential nursery, as we started trying for a baby 6 months ago. David told me about Teresa when we first started dating. They were together for 3 years in college but broke up when Teresa moved across the country for grad school. David said the long distance was too hard, and they decided to end things amicably. He assured me that their relationship was completely over and they hadn't been in touch for years. Last week, I was using David's phone to order takeout while he was in the shower. He had given me his passcode a long time ago, and we've always been open about using each other's devices. As I was scrolling through his recent contacts to find the restaurant number, I noticed a conversation with someone named S that had a lot of messages. I know I shouldn't have looked, but something didn't feel right. When I opened the chat, I found hundreds of messages between David and Teresa dating back to last year. They weren't explicitly romantic, but they were definitely more than friendly. They shared inside jokes, complained about their current partners, and even reminisced about their time together in college. What really hurt was a recent message where Teresa told David she was visiting our city next month and suggested they meet up for coffee to catch up properly. David replied saying he couldn't wait to see her beautiful face again. I confronted David as soon as he got out of the shower. At first, he tried to deny it, saying Teresa was just an old friend. But when I showed him the messages, he broke down and admitted everything. He swore nothing physical had happened between them and that he had no intentions of cheating on me. He said he reconnected with Teresa on Facebook last year when she commented on one of his posts, and they just started talking casually. David begged for forgiveness, promising to cut all contact with Teresa immediately. He even offered to let me change his social media passwords and check his phone whenever I wanted. He said he loved me and didn't want to lose our marriage over this mistake. I'm completely lost. I love David, and we've built a life together. We have a house, shared friends, and we were trying to start a family. The thought of throwing it all away is terrifying. But I feel so betrayed. Even if he didn't physically cheat, the emotional intimacy in those messages feels like a violation of our marriage vows. I've asked David to sleep in the guest room while I figure things out. He's been respecting my space and seems genuinely remorseful, but I can't shake the feeling that our entire relationship might have been built on lies. What if he's been pining for Teresa all this time? My best friend Lisa thinks I should leave David immediately. She went through a similar situation with her ex-boyfriend and says that once a cheater, always a cheater. My sister Emily, who's been married for 10 years, thinks I should give him another chance if he's truly sorry and willing to work on our marriage. She and her husband went through a rough patch early in their marriage and came out stronger for it. I'm torn between my love for David and my self-respect. I don't know if I can ever trust him again, but the thought of divorcing him and starting over at 28 is equally terrifying. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting or if this is truly as big a betrayal as it feels. I've considered suggesting couples therapy, but I'm not sure if that's the right move or if it's too soon. Part of me wants to reach out to Teresa and get her side of the story, but I'm afraid of what I might learn. What if she tells me they've been meeting up in secret? Or worse, what if she says David told her our marriage was on the rocks? Right now, I'm taking it day by day. I've told David the first need time to think and process everything. He's been giving me space but also leaving little notes around the house apologizing and telling me how much he loves me. It's both sweet and infuriating because I can't tell if he's genuinely sorry or just trying to manipulate me into forgiving him. I've been staying late at school, throwing myself into grading papers and planning lessons just to avoid going home. My coworkers have noticed something's off, but I haven't told anyone at work about what's happening. It feels too personal, and I'm afraid of being judged. I keep replaying moments from our relationship in my head, wondering if there were signs I missed. Was he distant during our anniversary dinner last month because he was thinking about Teresa? When he went on that business trip in March, was he really working late, or was he talking to her? I'm also struggling with feelings of inadequacy. Teresa is successful and beautiful, she's a lawyer at a prestigious firm and runs marathons in her spare time. I can't help but compare myself to her and wonder if David thinks I'm not good enough. Our families don't know about this yet. David's parents have always treated me like a daughter, and the thought of telling them what their son has done is painful. My parents went through a messy divorce when I was a teenager, and I'm afraid of disappointing them by following in their footsteps. I'm hoping that writing this all out and getting some outside perspectives might help me gain some clarity. Am I overreacting? Should I try to work things out with David, or is this betrayal too big to overcome? How do I even begin to rebuild trust after something like this? Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1: It's been 3 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone who took the time to respond and offer advice. Your perspectives really helped me gain some clarity on the situation. After much consideration, I decided to give David another chance. We had a long, emotional conversation where he answered all my questions honestly, or so I thought, and promised to do whatever it takes to rebuild our relationship. He agreed to cut all contact with Teresa, attend couples therapy with me, and give me full access to his phone and social media accounts. For the first 2 weeks, things seemed to be improving. We started couples therapy with Dr. Anderson, a therapist recommended by my sister. David was being incredibly attentive and remorseful. He deleted all his social media accounts without me even asking and was constantly checking in with me about how I was feeling. We even had a nice dinner with David's parents last weekend. They noticed things were a bit tense between us, but we played it off as work stress. David's mom, Linda, pulled me aside at one point and asked if everything was okay. I felt terrible lying to her, but I wasn't ready to share what had happened. At work, I finally confided in my colleague and friend, Rachel. She was supportive and offered to cover some of my after-school duties so I could focus on my marriage. It was a relief to have someone to talk to about the situation. However, last week, something happened that turned everything upside down again. I received an anonymous email with screenshots of more conversations between David and Teresa. These messages were much more recent, some from just a few days ago, and far more explicit than what I had originally seen. In these new messages, David and Teresa were planning to meet up during her upcoming visit to our city. They talked about booking a hotel room and reminisced about their physical relationship in college. David even told Teresa that he still had feelings for her and was considering leaving me. I was devastated. Just when I thought we were making progress, and I was starting to trust David again, this bombshell dropped. I confronted David immediately, and his reaction was not what I expected. Instead of denying it or begging for forgiveness again, David broke down and admitted everything. He confessed that he and Teresa had been having an emotional affair for over a year, and they had met up and been physical twice when he was supposedly on business trips. David said he had been struggling with these feelings for Teresa for a long time but was too cowardly to address them properly. He claimed he truly did love me and wanted to make our marriage work, which is why he agreed to therapy and tried to cut contact with Teresa. But he said he realized now that he couldn't let go of his feelings for her. In a shocking turn of events, David told me he wants a divorce. He said he realizes now that he's still in love with Teresa and wants to explore that relationship. He apologized for hurting me and said he knows he's been a coward and a terrible husband. I'm completely shattered. Just when I thought we were on the path to reconciliation, everything has fallen apart. I feel like such a fool for believing David's lies and giving him another chance. The betrayal feels even deeper now. I've asked David to move out immediately. He's staying with his friend Jake while we figure out the logistics of separating our lives. I've contacted a divorce lawyer, Maria, who was recommended by a colleague. She's been helpful in explaining the process and what I need to do to protect myself financially and emotionally. The hardest part is facing the reality that our entire marriage might have been a lie. Was David thinking about Teresa all this time? Did he ever truly love me, or was I just a placeholder until he could be with her again? I'm grateful for the anonymous email, even though it brought me pain. At least now I know the full truth and can make decisions based on reality rather than David's lies. I've been wondering who sent it. Was it Teresa feeling guilty? Or maybe one of David's friends who knew about the affair? I'm struggling with intense feelings of anger, betrayal, and sadness. Some days, I can barely get out of bed. Other days, I'm filled with rage and want to lash out at David and Teresa for destroying my life. My friends and family have been incredibly supportive. Lisa and Emily have been taking turns staying with me so I'm not alone. They're helping me pack up David's things and have been a shoulder to cry on when things get overwhelming. I'm considering individual therapy to help me process all of this and figure out how to move forward. Dr. Anderson recommended a colleague who specializes in helping people through divorce and betrayal. I know logically that this isn't my fault, but I can't help feeling like I wasn't enough for David. I keep replaying our relationship in my mind, wondering if there were signs I missed or if I could have done something differently. Work has been a challenge. I told my principal what was happening, and she's been understanding. She's offered me some time off, but I'm afraid if I stop working, I'll just sit at home and dwell on everything. I haven't told David's parents yet. I know I need to, but I'm dreading that conversation. They've always been so kind to me, and I know this news will break their hearts. I'm also grappling with the financial implications of all this. David and I had joint accounts, and we had been saving for a bigger house and to start a family. Now all those dreams are gone, and I'm worried about how I'll manage on just my teacher's salary. Right now, I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. I'm focusing on self-care and leaning on my support system. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I deserve better than what David has put me through. Thank you all again for your support. I'll update again when I have more news or if I need more advice on navigating this difficult situation. Update 2: It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some new developments in my situation. The divorce proceedings are underway, and it's been a challenging process. David initially tried to argue for a 50-50 split of our assets, despite the fact that I had contributed more financially to our marriage. My lawyer, Maria, advised me to fight for what I deserve, and we're currently in negotiations. We had to sell our house, which was emotionally draining. Watching strangers walk through the home we had built together and criticize the paint colors we had chosen or the garden I had lovingly tended was harder than I expected. The house sold quickly, at least, and I'm currently staying with my sister Emily while I look for an apartment. About a month ago, I received a surprising message from Teresa. She reached out to apologize for her role in the affair and to share some information she thought I should know. According to Teresa, David had been lying to her as well. He had told her that our marriage was essentially over and that we were only staying together for financial reasons. Teresa said she had no idea that David and I were still in a committed relationship or that we were trying for a baby. She claimed that David had painted a picture of an unhappy marriage and that she genuinely believed she wasn't interfering with a real relationship. While part of me was skeptical of Teresa's story, she provided evidence in the form of messages and emails that corroborated her claims. It seems David was playing both of us, telling each of us what we wanted to hear to keep us both in his life. This revelation brought up a mix of emotions. On one hand, I felt a strange sense of vindication knowing that I wasn't the only one David had deceived. On the other hand, it made me question everything about our relationship even more. How could I have been married to someone capable of such elaborate deception? Teresa also revealed that she had ended things with David after learning the full truth. She said she couldn't be with someone who would lie so extensively to both his wife and his mistress. While I appreciate her coming clean, it doesn't change the pain and betrayal I've experienced. In a surprising turn of events, David's parents reached out to me last week. They had apparently been in the dark about the whole situation and were shocked when they learned about the divorce. David had told them we were separating due to irreconcilable differences but hadn't mentioned the affair. David's mother, Linda, was particularly upset. She told me that she had always thought of me as a daughter and was heartbroken about what David had done. She apologized profusely for her son's behavior and offered her support if I needed anything. While I appreciated her kindness, I told her I needed space from anything related to David right now. As for me, I've started individual therapy with Dr. Patel, the therapist Dr. Anderson recommended. It's been helpful to have a professional to talk to about my fears and insecurities. I'm slowly starting to realize that David's actions are a reflection of his character, not my worth. I've also been focusing on reconnecting with old friends and hobbies that I had neglected during my marriage. I've joined a local book club and started taking yoga classes. My friend Rachel from work has been joining me for the yoga classes, and it's been nice to have that support. At work, I've thrown myself into planning for the new school year. I volunteered to coach the debate team, which will keep me busy and give me something positive to focus on. My principal has been understanding and even offered me a chance to attend a teaching conference next month, which I'm excited about. Financially, things have been tight, but I'm managing. The sale of the house has given me a bit of a cushion, and I'm learning to budget more carefully. I've even started a side gig tutoring students on weekends to bring in some extra money. The divorce proceedings are expected to be finalized in a few months. I'm both dreading and looking forward to that day. It will be painful to officially end my marriage, but it will also be the start of a new chapter in my life. Thank you all for your continued support throughout this difficult journey. Your words of encouragement have meant more than you know. Update 3: It's been half a year since this whole ordeal began, and I wanted to provide a final update on my situation. The divorce was finalized last month. Thanks to the evidence of David's infidelity and the fact that I had contributed more financially to our marriage, I received a favorable settlement. While the money doesn't erase the pain, it does provide some security as I start this new chapter of my life. I found a small but cozy apartment closer to my school. It's been both exciting and daunting to decorate a place that's entirely my own. My sister Emily and my friend Lisa helped me pick out some new furniture, and I'm slowly making it feel like home. David tried to reach out a few times during the divorce process, alternating between apologies and attempts to justify his actions. I maintained minimal contact, only communicating through our lawyers. After the divorce was finalized, I blocked his number and all social media accounts. It was a difficult step, but necessary for my healing. Teresa contacted me one last time to let me know she had moved to another state for a job opportunity. She apologized again and wished me well. While I don't harbor positive feelings towards her, I appreciate that she came clean and helped me see the full picture of David's deception. As for me, I've made significant progress in my personal journey. Therapy with Dr. Patel has been instrumental in helping me process my emotions and rebuild my self-esteem. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever realized, and that I deserve a partner who values honesty and commitment as much as I do. I've thrown myself into my career, taking on new responsibilities at school. The debate team I started coaching has been doing well, and we're preparing for a state competition next month. I've also decided to pursue a master's degree in education, focusing on curriculum development. It's been challenging balancing work and studies, but it's also been incredibly rewarding. My relationships with friends and family have deepened as they've supported me through this difficult time. Emily and I have grown much closer, and I'm grateful for her constant support. Lisa and Rachel have been amazing friends, always ready with a listening ear or a night out when I need to take my mind off things. I've also made new friends through my book club and yoga classes, expanding my support network. It's been refreshing to meet people who don't know me as David's wife and to form connections based on shared interests rather than shared history. While I'm not ready to start dating again, I'm no longer afraid of the idea of finding love in the future. I know now that I have a lot to offer in a relationship, and I won't settle for anything less than I deserve. Financially, I'm in a much better place now. The tutoring side gig has been successful, and I'm considering expanding it into an online platform. I've also been more mindful of my spending and have started building up my savings again. There are still days when the pain of betrayal resurfaces, but they're becoming less frequent. I'm learning to trust my instincts more and to prioritize my own happiness and well-being. I've even started volunteering at a local animal shelter on weekends, which has been a great source of joy and healing. My relationship with David's parents has evolved. While we're not as close as we once were, we've maintained a respectful distance. They send me holiday cards and occasionally check in, which I appreciate. Looking back, I can see how this experience, as painful as it was, has led to personal growth and self-discovery. I'm not grateful for what David did, but I am proud of how I've handled the aftermath and the person I'm becoming. I've learned to set boundaries, to value myself, and to recognize red flags in relationships. I've also learned the importance of having a strong support system and of being there for others in their times of need. As I move forward, I'm focusing on building the life I want for myself. I'm planning a solo trip to Europe next summer, something I've always wanted to do but never had the courage to pursue on my own. I'm excited about this new adventure and all the possibilities that lie ahead.